If you like to talk about combat sports and you want to join the discussion, click the subscribe button below and the bell notification icon next to it and join Knucklehead Nation. What's going on, Knuckleheads? This is George with the Fighters Rep, and this is our Donald Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje preview prediction live. It is Thursday, September 12th. And this is the fight we've got to look forward to this weekend. This is an absolute banger. This is a cracker. This is a barn burner. This is the fight where if you've got some friends that are on the fence about watching fights or getting into any sort of combat sports at all, this is the one you want to introduce them to, or introduce them to the sport through. Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Justin the Highlight Gaethje. It's going to be absolutely insane. First off, this thing is going down this Saturday, September 14th, 2019 at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada. And Canada, you are in for a treat. It's going to be an amazing fight. These are two guys that come to fight. These are two guys that are not afraid of anything, and this is a must-watch fight. It's also an amazing fight for the lightweight division. There are huge implications here. The winner is in the title mix. Actually, both of these guys are kind of still in the title mix, and the winner is definitely going to get pushed further into the title mix in one of the most stacked divisions of all time. The UFC's lightweight division right now is just absolutely insane, just absolutely ridiculous. So let's look at the tail of the tape first. Go over some of the things that we need to discuss before we make a prediction on this fight. At the end of going through the tail of the tape and, what we think about both guys, what we think they need to do to win, I'll give you my prediction, then I'll turn it over to you guys. Before I head on over into my analysis, though, please subscribe below, like, comment, share, do everything that all the nice people on YouTube do. So first and foremost, we've got Donald Cerrone at number 4 in the lightweight division, taking on Justin Gaethje, number 5 in the lightweight division. Both obviously coming in at 155 pounds, hopefully, unless something goes awry. But it's the 155-pound lightweight division. We've got Donald Cerrone coming in at 36-12. Very, very impressive record. A whole lot of experience. And then we've got Justin, the Highlight Gaethje, at 20 wins and just 2 losses. And those 2 losses coming to some of the best guys in the division, including Dustin Poirier, who just fought Khabib Nurmagomedov. And put on a pretty good fight considering he was fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. Donald Cowboy Cerrone comes into this fight at 36 years of age, and I believe that's going to be a bit of a factor. But Justin Gaethje also comes into this fight at 30 years of age. Not so much the factor as Cerrone's 36 years of age, but nonetheless, Justin Gaethje is an old 30-year-old fighter. And the reason I believe that is because I don't think anybody has the style or has been through the wars that Justin Gaethje has and is still basically a competent human being that's able to get around and feed himself and, wipe his own behind. And I mean, his fighting style is just conducive to just being ill. I just don't know how this guy can be this durable with his fighting style. But nonetheless, while Donald Cerrone would seem to have the disadvantage in age, and Gaethje the advantage being 6 years younger at the age of 30, if you look at the wear and tear on both of these guys, and there's a lot, especially with Cerrone having 48 fights versus Gaethje's 22, it's just the way they fight. Both of them are aggressive, but nobody is as aggressive as Justin Gaethje. I don't think I've ever seen a fighter as aggressive in the UFC or maybe in any sport as Justin Gaethje. Of course, call me out if I'm wrong about that, but really just an absolute Tasmanian devil in the ring. Just absolutely crazy. And that's why I think the age thing in this fight kind of cancels each other out. Let's go to height. We got Cerrone listed at 6 feet 1 inch, and Justin Gaethje listed at 5 feet 11 inches tall. Not a big deal there, but if you look at the reach, you've got Cerrone with a 2-inch reach advantage at 73 inches versus Justin Gaethje's 71-inch reach. Now, I interestingly enough found a leg reach statistic. Here we've got Donald Cerrone with a 40.5-inch leg reach. Yes, I'm actually telling you how long their legs are here versus Justin Gaethje's 40-inch reach, and that'll not really make a huge difference, but it'll come into play because Cerrone, having the slightly longer legs, is going to utilize that because he kicks a lot. He kicks a lot. I mean, so does Gaethje, but Gaethje's kicks are mostly on the inside. So when we're talking about distance, that's Cerrone's game there. So, that's what it is right there. You've got two guys with a whole bunch of fights between the two of them. You've got Cerrone with 48 fights, and I believe 1 no contest. You've got Justin Gaethje with 22 fights. Okay, I mean you're talking 70 fights between these guys. It's just absolutely insane. And then finishes. You've got 10 knockout finishes for Cerrone, 17 submissions for Cerrone. You've got 17 knockouts for Gaethje and just 1 submission. There is almost a guarantee that this fight is going to end with a finish in some kind of brutal fashion. The way I see the fight playing out, well, first let's take a look at what each guy needs to do in order to win, and then I'll tell you guys how I see this fight playing out. But as far as what the guys need to do, I think Donald Cerrone needs to use his distance in this fight. He's a great kickboxer. He's a striker, and he typically fights really well from a distance, utilizing his kicks, utilizing his jab, but he's more of a kicker than a puncher, and I think he needs to definitely keep his distance with Justin Gaethje and kick him as much as he can to keep him away and jab him when he gets in close. If Cerrone can do that and weather the storm, especially in the beginning, then he can make this a great fight. Either way, it's going to be a great fight, an entertaining fight, but I think he can make this a very competitive fight and win if he can keep this fight on the outside. As far as Justin Gaethje goes, he has to do the complete opposite. He just has to charge in like he typically does, put a lot of pressure on Cerrone, who's a really slow starter. Okay, Justin Gaethje just comes out like a bat out of hell, man. As soon as that bell rings, he's coming at you. He's coming at you hard. Donald Cerrone kind of takes a while to warm up, so that's why he's going to have to keep his distance in the beginning of this fight. Otherwise, he's going to get clipped and taken out by Justin Gaethje. So Gaethje is just going to have to go in there and do what he usually does, which is fight on the inside, leg kicks on the inside, punches on nonstop on the inside. And if he does that, if he presses Donald Cerrone, I think he could finish the fight early or wear him out and finish the fight late. But I don't see this going to a decision. I don't see this fight going to a decision. If Donald Cerrone, again, is able to keep the distance, I think he can win this fight. Another thing that people are not taking into consideration because, it looks like people are not taking it into consideration because they have Justin Gaethje listed as the favorite, and rightfully so. But I think a lot of people in their previews and predictions for this fight are forgetting the fact that Donald Cerrone can really hurt somebody. Donald Cerrone has finishing power. He's got knockout power. That's not to say Gaethje doesn't, because he absolutely does. But Donald Cerrone, if he lands a good shot on anybody, we've seen it time and time again, he will finish them. And Justin Gaethje has been stopped twice, where his courage and his toughness just wasn't enough to keep coming forward. And Donald Cerrone is the kind of guy that can land the strikes that Eddie Alvarez landed and that Justin Poirier landed on Justin Gaethje to finish him. Not so much the punches, but the kicks. See, if those guys could finish Gaethje with punches, then Cerrone can definitely finish Gaethje with his kicks. And so that's something in a fight like this where both men are going to be absolutely reckless that, we're going to have to watch out for. Plus, we're dealing with Dad Donald Cerrone here, who's basically undefeated. I mean, he lost that Tony Ferguson fight because of a cut or whatever it was. But, I mean, this guy's been steamrolling people, and a lot of people are saying he's headed towards the twilight of his career. If anything, he's reinvented himself, and he's more motivated than ever now that he has a child. Dad Cerrone is no joke, okay? So, this is a pick'em fight. This is as much of a pick'em fight as you're going to see in your life. These are two guys. They're going to be coming forward. And this is a pick'em fight. And had you told me that this fight was happening before Cerrone became a father, I would have said, knuckleheads, you got to go with Gaethje on this one. Easy win for Gaethje on this one, right? Easy win for Gaethje on this one. But Dad Cerrone, Donald Father Cerrone is an absolute problem. He's a problem to the point where I think he's got a hell of a chance of winning this fight. I think this fight is a 50-50 fight. That being said, I'm going to have to go with, on this fight, I'm going to have to be the odd man out and go with Donald Cerrone winning this fight. And the reason I'm picking Donald Cerrone for this fight is because I do think it's a 50-50 fight. But the reason I'm picking Donald Cerrone for this fight is because he's got a lot more to lose in this fight. This could be his swan song. This could be his last chance to earn a title shot. And when you're Donald Cerrone and you've put this much time and effort in your career, and you just fought Tony Ferguson in an excellent fight and lost out on the opportunity to fight for a title there, and now you have another potential chance to do it before you potentially retire. I mean, if he loses this fight, he might be done. So I think because Cerrone has so much more to lose in this fight, Gaethje's still just 30 years old. I got to go with Donald Cerrone in this fight. I think he finishes Gaethje, I would say in the middle to late rounds. Call me crazy. Call me crazy, knuckleheads. It's not the conservative prediction. I'm warning you now. I'm going out on a limb here. It's not a conservative prediction. But my heart is telling me that Donald Cowboy Cerrone is going to be able to finish this fight. And I think he's going to do it with kicks. Maybe a body kick. Maybe a body and then head. That's just what I'm feeling here. At the same time, Justin Gaethje might just crowd him and finish him off in the first round. That's a real possibility. Cerrone starts out slow. But I think since he's had a child, he's been much more motivated. Regardless, this is going to be a fantastic fight for everybody to watch. So definitely tune in. So now before I go over to the chat, I'm going to ask you guys to please feel free, feel generous to donate to the super chat. My new thing is I'm going to ask everybody, if you're in the chat, just $1 goes a long way. It's greatly appreciated. Or more, obviously. It all gets invested back into Fighters Rep. And definitely tune in if you can't make it to the fights on September 21st in California, in Southern California, Seal Beach between Orange County and LA County, where we'll be having our Fighters Rep 8 fights. You can buy tickets at fightersrep.com. If you can't make it, tune in right here live on YouTube. We'll be airing the fights, and it's going to be fantastic. Also, before I shift over to see what's going on in the chat, we've got an announcement today. I definitely want to at least make it here. Fighters Rep has officially received permission from the California State Athletic Commission, CSAC, to put on pro kickboxing events. So we're going to be basically, as far as I know, the only exclusively pro kickboxing event in the whole state of California. Obviously, we're going to do pro-am shows, which is a mix of pros and then amis on the undercard, so we can continue to develop the amateurs. But big news for Fighters Rep. We're moving on up. We're advancing. And really, really excited about it. CSAC has approved us officially. And that's all I wanted to say there. So let's see what you guys have to say. What do you guys think about this fight coming up on Saturday? So we got Don Elvergudo in the chat as usual. Don, what's going on, my brother? Thank you so much for tuning in again. And he said, I thought you knew who was flying by with the alien head. Don, you are the alien, my man. Thank you so much for joining the chat. It's much appreciated. Marco Martinez, one of the best people we know, a contributor to Fighters Rep, a helper at Fighters Rep, always there for all the fights. Much love to you, Marco. Saying this is a tremendous fight. Stand and bang, both potentially dangerous on the ground, but Justin doesn't like to go there. And that's true, and that's interesting because, my understanding is Cerrone's a killer at BJJ, and Justin Gaethje is a wrestler. That's his base. So it's crazy that we never see them go there. It's just really weird that these two guys with such strong ground games don't really get to the floor that often. Actually, Cowboy has submitted a few people. Mike Perry comes to mind. But, Justin Gaethje, you'd think a guy who has a wrestling base would go to the ground more, but it just doesn't seem to happen with him. And I don't mind. This is going to be a stand and bang fight, which is what we like at Fighters Rep. That's why we put together these unified rules kickboxing events where it's just stand and bang. You can't clinch. There's no holding. There's no wrestling, obviously. So we love the stand and bang. And no sexual innuendo intended there. Marco Martinez, I think Cowboy should try and get the takedown. He has really good jiu-jitsu. Marco, I agree. That's what I just said. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go for the takedown, though. I think he's going to be so into the striking. Maybe he should go for the takedown in the beginning to kind of wear Gaethje out, but that might work against him, considering Gaethje's a wrestler. So we'll see. Marco Martinez, Justin hasn't had a bad fight since joining UFC. I agree 100%, man. All his fights are freaking sick. I can watch this guy fight all day long, and I'm not missing this fight for anything. Actually, if you want to roll through, bring some of that barbecue, Marco. We can have some whiskey, brother, and see what goes down. Marco Martinez also said, before this chat is over, you got to talk about the return of Edgar Barbary to Fighters Rep. Edgar Barbary, he's a huge fan favorite out here, but we've got a lot of fan favorites on this card, Marco. I'm going to do a preview to the card very soon, but we've got Edgar Barbary fighting, who never backs down. He's going to be fighting a kid named Manny Sekioba, big, strong kid. We've got Khosrov Sadarov on the card, very tough kid too, fighting this kid Dennis Archila from Janjura Muay Thai, a new team that we're working with, who's sending us 3 guys, including a heavyweight. We're just absolutely pumped about some of the guys that are on this card. Denis Kovalev is coming back, very, very tough kid. He's going to be actually taking on Gabriel Silva, which is Anderson Silva's son, is going to be fighting for us. So that's pretty wild, and it means a ton to us that Systems Training Center, where so many great fighters train out of, trusts us enough to send Anderson Silva to us to fight. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's an honor for us. And then a ton of other fights. So far we got over 15 fights booked. So it's gonna be a hell of a night, and we hope everybody tunes in. Marco Martinez also says, congrats on going pro. Thank you, my man. It's been it feels like a long time coming, but not really. Fighters Rep, we haven't even been around as a promotion for 2 years. In fact, at the end of this month will be our 2-year anniversary. So, you know, I'm just very proud of what we've done in under 2 years. We've had some of the most exciting fights in California. I think we have the most exciting rule set in the fight game with the unified rules that we've got, and the referee Dan Stell from the IKF and his knowledge of kickboxing and how that comes into play. I think we've got, you know, some of the best fans, this, you know, freaking hardcore fans down here in Southern California, amazing cultures, all, you know, with huge passion and desire for the fight game. Great food. You know, we've got great food at the events brought to us by Christian Rodriguez of El Gordo Mariscos and Tacos. He's awesome. We've got an amazing bar from Bar One. Big shout out to Aaron Knapp. You know, if you want to sit in the VIP, he hooks it up with bottles and bottles, with a free bottle if you buy VIP tickets for 4 to 10 people for the table, and bottle service comes with those tickets for the table. Just a fantastic event. I couldn't be more excited about it. We got a ton of vendors coming through. Big shout out now to our sponsor, Lotus Group Real Estate. They just signed up, so you know you definitely want to check all of them out. Follow us on Instagram at FightersRep, on Twitter, on Facebook. Everything is at FightersRep, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So that's all I have for you guys at this point. Thank you guys so much for joining. Definitely click the links below to get your Fighters Rep t-shirt. Donate below, or come out to the fights. And if you can't make it, you're too far from Southern California to make Fighters Rep 8 on September 21st, where you can get your tickets at fightersrep.com or in the links below. If you can't make it, tune in right here on YouTube. We're going to be airing the fights live. So that's all I've got for you, knuckleheads. Thank you guys so much for joining the chat. And we'll be back immediately after the fights on Saturday. Much love. Click the link below for your official Fighters Rep merchandise and join Knucklehead Nation.